Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Donnie Sago with that fuego, bout to blaze on track. Causing hell in a cell with the burning attack. For mac and cheese, open Pro Tools, let's get to those stats. Earthbound for them rats, blue and green is my colors. Coordinated with black to represent for my brothers. Undertaker in his prime, no there won't be another. Now it's funeral season, the reason you need to cover. With the storm I expose, to belief of my foe. Fishing there with the shoes, I'm a beast at them shows. Down and causing apocalypse in the venue I chose. While I scope a dark phoenix who be packing that road.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Legend of Ken channel, and we have another podcast for you today, and I have the Husky with me today, so it's just me and the Husky.
I'm here.
Oh God. This episode gonna definitely be called freaking McMahon, goddamn.
Yeah, we're not even finished with the whole series yet. Wait, what?
Yeah, we're not finished with the whole series yet. We're on freaking episode 5, goddamn.
Yeah.
Alright, Husky, let me have it. What you think about it?
I'm liking it so far. This is things I'm already familiar with, but there were small little things that I did not know. Like for instance, the one that the girls that want to have fun, the lady that made that song, she was a wrestler. I had no clue that was her. I connected the dots on that. So wrestling fans, don't butcher me for that. I literally thought that was I thought there was two different people. I didn't think that she actually wanted to become a wrestler. And secondly, on my note, on one thing that language.
Oh, you talking about the pop star?
Yeah,
the pop star from MTV. I mean, I guess you could say she was a wrestler, but she kind of really wasn't. She was more of a manager type girl.
I'll definitely say she was one of those first celebrities that just cameoed in wrestling before, they started doing that big time in WrestleMania. But she was definitely one of the first, and I would not guess she would have became a wrestler. Mainly because I never seen her in person, or should I say seen her physically. Always heard her music. I think we all just heard, if you haven't seen her before, I think we all heard her music before. Especially girls that want to have fun. So I thought she was just a girly girl. I didn't think she wanted to become a wrestler until I seen this. But and the other thing too that really intrigued me is not necessarily something new, but how much this parallels. And I know me and Ken gonna talk about this. How much this storyline between WWE and WCW parallels with how WWE is with AEW. The similarities are damn near scary. You would think it's scripted, but yeah, that's my take on it so far. How you feeling on it?
Yeah, as they were talking, and I do watch some YouTube channels. I'll probably leave them in the description, but they do talk about the dire situation that's going on with AEW, and it just, again, they also said the same thing before this even podcast, not the podcast, but before this documentary even came out, because they were saying like AEW pulling WCW moves, because in actuality, that's what Tony Khan said. He wanted to be like WCW back in the day. But be careful what you wish for, because that's what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they were thinking, and that, I think honestly it's funny because Eric Bischoff said it best himself. Tony Khan was ahead of WWE in the terms of popularity at a certain point. Probably the last 2 years, I think 2 years ago, when it's just now started like really coming out of the shadows. But they're kind of running into the same problem that Eric said. Like, although they had good wrestling, they could not keep up with the stories. And I kind of do agree with what Eric said also, that when he said that Mr. McMahon took what they were doing and then just applied it to his own stuff and did it better and stuff like that. But obviously Vince was not gonna be like, I didn't get that from him. It's fair game or something. He said something so confusing. I said, that don't even make no goddamn sense. He know that.
Yeah, like he just mumbled that last sentence out, and I'm like, okay, Vince, we get it. You don't want to admit that you got it from Eric, but you definitely got it from Eric.
Yeah, because that was another point he was trying to prove. He said, I know this is contradicting, but how I think about it and how I say it is two different things. No, it's contradicting. How
Yeah.
you said it is how you said it, regardless of how you thought it. Because it's just like that's almost like me saying like, uh, Bernard, I don't care about your knee, but in my head I say I care about your knee. But that's what you said though, even though you thought differently. That don't make no sense. You're not two split personalities here. That's why when they was just like Vince, when Vince was saying like Mr. McMahon is a character, me and him are not the same person. But everybody else in the freaking documentary was like, no, that's kind of like him for real, for real.
I was side eyeing the whole time. I was like, Vince, I mean, don't get me wrong. When you're yourself all the time, you tend to not notice. I mean, you and CJ kind of called me on that too as well. But I'm kind of, come on, Vince. If I had to catch on, you should have taken years to already catch on that you're an asshole at times.
Exactly.
I mean, the Montreal Screwjob was a good example of that.
Right, that wasn't Mr. McMahon the character, that was Vince.
Yeah.
Screw that, Mr. McMahon is Vince. No matter, just because I'm calling him Vince, Mr. McMahon doesn't mean he's two different people. He's both. That's his last name and stuff like that. I mean, I do believe them to a certain degree that he turned up the what's the word? He turned up the gimmick of Mr. McMahon, but that is almost like different personas is kind of you at the end of the day. It's just like you putting on a different freaking set of clothes, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, Roman actually said it best. He stopped being Roman Reigns. He started being Joe. So that was him being this whole time. Right now, yeah, you're gonna say he's acting as Roman Reigns, but in actuality, he's being Joe because Joe doesn't care. And Joe is his real name. If people don't know, Joe is Roman's real name. And
I think it's I know I. That's his last name.
Yeah, Joe I think. But yeah, he just said, he just because, and also the parallels between him and The Rock is another thing that caught my eye. And I think we should go a certain order of what we talk about, but I guess we're just doing previews here about what we're talking about. The Rock came in, they pushed him down everyone's throat. Everyone hated The Rock. The Rock started turning heel. Everyone started loving The Rock. Who's the current person that's doing that now? Freaking Roman Reigns. It just feels weird because it feels like this has all been planned to this point.
Oh yeah, they ain't not making nothing new. History repeats itself in everything. It's like what your parents did back in the day is probably what you're doing now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it repeats itself because like all that stuff, all that material that they got going on for themselves right now, they been did that. They just slapped a new name on it and called it new. You know what I'm saying? That's why I like what CJ be saying. Like nothing really new, and if you try to get something new, it's like incy little bincy crumbs that either someone way back in the day did this and no one remembered because that time period kind of is gone, or you know they just took something that they did in the past and twisted it. Like the Dominic Mysterio thing, that's not brand new. That's something that they crafted from the Eddie and Ray feud, and then they created this.
Yep.
So like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a parallel throughout this whole freaking
Documentary.
yeah, cause even with what was it? Him and his dad. Oh my lord, that's drama. That is drama.
And I still believe that that's. Oh, excuse me. I still believe that there's a lot Vince still hasn't said. Excuse me, about his dad.
Freaking husky.
Excuse me, I had the hiccups a little bit. But there's a lot that he didn't say about his dad.
Yeah.
But they were now on good terms.
Yeah, they were
from the
not
very beginning all the way up to his passing. Because I mean, heck, I know I'll feel some type of way if my dad only showed up just to talk about business and that's it.
Yeah, I think too. Another thing, Vince was right about that they needed to pivot and do something new, and you know, because WWE, WWF, whatever you want to call it, it wouldn't have been as big as it was if he never really crossed those lines with the other promotion and stuff like that. I see that you're trying to play. It's almost like you're trying to play in your own sandbox, and you don't want to get into somebody else's and mess up their own little thing. But honestly, how do you think all these big companies became a thing? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like his dad wanted to stay in the lines. Vince wanted to color out of them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
If
what.
he stayed in his father's lane, we would never see WWE. I think NWO will never. Not NWO. I keep saying WCW. We probably would have never seen WCW either.
Right. Exactly. It's actually I saw, and you can correct me on this. There was a what was it called? The AWA or something like that. Their logo looks just like John Cena's logo on one of his shirts. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't seen it. No.
I'm gonna send you a picture after this podcast is over with. But it was like the logo looked exactly like John Cena's logo. It was like red and blue and white. And it looked so freaking similar. But then again, I was thinking to myself, I said, did WWE probably like buy the rights? Because you see WCW in some of the WWE games and stuff like that. And I'm assuming that they must have bought them out or something like that for them able to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they bought other companies as well so that they could use those logos and stuff like that. Because I noticed that every time that they said WWF, they'll have in the subtitles. If you had subtitles turned on, it'll say WWE instead.
Yep. Because they did a whole rebrand and they're trying to make people not say WWF at some point.
Right.
And they just wanted people to say WWE, which they successfully did. But
Right.
people that grew up with WWF, I'm sure they're going to have a hard time still transitioning.
Yeah, and man, but the episode about the Attitude Era, woo! I already knew that it was bad, but they cranked that bitch up to 10 because it's different when you're watching it as a kid versus now like an adult. Like, damn, they really was doing some crazy shit for real. Like, damn. I already knew women were getting fucking exploited back in the day. It was like a certain time period, even in what, 2000, I say 2008, 2009.
It stopped in 10, though. But
Stopped in 10. Because freaking Sable, Lord have mercy. I said, damn. That's all I gotta say. I said, damn. Damn, Sable.
Yep.
For real. I just like it. They're just there. They're just there. That's it. Oh yeah, they about to use the fuck out of that because her tits was just out. I'm just saying, her tits was out, bro. Like it's like the first thing you notice. It really is.
Yeah. Like there was definitely an era where if the feminists wanted to go all out attack on that, they could have because
they probably would won that.
The women weren't doing nothing barely at all. They were just there to look good or be talk shit to. I mean, heck, the era that the girl that want to when the singer said when girls want to have fun, that was probably their best era before this happened.
Oh yeah.
Cause oh my god, like I said, when Vince took the stuff from WCW, he cranked it up to 11.
Yeah.
Because they said there was no one. Because at first I always thought Stone Cold was a hero, an anti-hero. Triple H, anti-hero. Shawn Michaels. But then I started, after watching this documentary, it makes sense. No one was a hero at that era of time. Everyone was a villain. It's just we was pumped up on testosterone and thinking, oh man, because the bad guys are cooler.
Yeah, it was like a more of a like I took it as more like this is a rebel age, like how they treat Luffy. Luffy isn't a hero, he a pirate. He's just doing pirate thing. He's disrupting the order of things. Cause that's why when they were saying like they were villain, I didn't really see it like that. I saw it as they were rebels and they was going up against authority in the terms of Mr. McMahon and the status quo of the values that were back then in that time period or whatever outside the ring. Mm-hmm. So that's why. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you. I want to know. Go ahead.
And that's why I was just like, that's why I said that Stone Cold was just like, he was the outlet to men and women, uh, that if you don't like your boss, you turn on WWE and you see what Stone Cold do to Vince the next week. You know what I'm saying? It was like that.
Well, my question would be: would you say that Stone Cold was the leader of the Attitude Era after watching this documentary, or would you say the Triple H and Shawn Michaels were?
I would say honestly, Stone Cold started it and then DX took it to the next level because Triple H, but even before this documentary, I remember I watched a video because I watched Dark Side of the Ring. I watched this documentary and other stuff that kind of goes into the background of like what the wrestlers were doing back in the day, and they were saying like the network, USA Network, which I really did not know that they was on this network for a long ass time.
Oh,
Lord have mercy. Like I knew that they was on USA Network for a good little bit, but I didn't think it was like way way back. Like they had this deal for a while, so for them to take Monday Night Raw off of the network and go to Netflix, yeah, that is big because they've been doing this for a long time.
yeah.
And but yeah, Triple H was saying like, the network was complaining saying that you guys can't say this and y'all can't do this or whatever. So that's why I feel like Stone Cold started, DX put fuel on the fire. Matter of fact, Stone Cold put the fuel on the fucking wood. Then The Rock came in and did a little bit more too, and then DX lit that bitch up. And then all four of them, alongside everybody else in that era, made it into a wildfire and it spread. That's how I see it.
Yeah, definitely. The only reason I asked that question because you remember there was a part of the documentary where Shawn Michaels and Triple H was friends with Kevin Nash and everyone else, and
Yeah.
they said that they went off script and they hugged them.
He
Now,
shouldn't have punished him. He should never punish Triple H.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
not fair.
but I remember kayfabe was a strong thing at that time, so
Exactly.
that's why I was going back to saying because what Triple H said in the documentary was the Attitude Era didn't just start abruptly; it started piece by piece.
Right.
So I was thinking back at it, and I was like, maybe that could have been, and anyone could debunk me on this. That could have been the little piece that started it right there. Was when they all decided to hug when they know dang near that was wrong.
Exactly.
So that's why I asked that question. I definitely asked Joy his perspective on that too because it makes you think about it. Because he said it was piece by piece the Attitude Era began. It wasn't all in one night or one day.
Exactly. And I think kayfabe was doing too much because like I get it, they were trying to make wrestling feel real and stuff like that, but I felt like that's too much because you have to do that in and out of the ring and you can't really be yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why I don't care about it now and stuff like that because it's just like that's too much work because you're already spending half of your life and that they went into that too about the scheduling and stuff like that. That's why I said I'm very happy that since Triple H is kind of over of certain things for the wrestlers, he understands the schedule and he understands why it's fair for wrestlers to have a better schedule instead of just being on the road all the time and stuff like that because they have families, they have an outside life just like everybody else. So that's why I feel like kayfabe there was no need because it's just like you practically spend half of your life being somebody else and you won't even know who you are anymore.
It's
Stuff.
more than half. It's damn near their whole life because they're on tour 7 days out the week.
Exactly. And it's just there is no need for that. I mean, I like that Dominic does it now. Like he don't turn it up to 20, but he turned it up to 10, which is good enough and stuff like that. I like the commitment and stuff like that. That's why I don't get in my britches about he don't need to do that. We already know his fate. Like, nah, let him work. Let him be an artist. Let him do what he's doing because wrestling is an art. Just like I think Undertaker may have said it or somebody said it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I would say wrestling isn't fake. Wrestling is acting. They're telling the story. It's opera. No, I think opera.
I say it's like a bunch of stunt men, kind of like how like stunt people do like dangerous stuff for the actor. I feel like they're kind of like stunt men wrestling.
they're acting while also performing the stunts at the same time. They're like a bunch of
Exactly.
Tom Cruises, and they're like just like how Hugh Jackman does stage acting. Is
Exactly.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're doing theater while also doing the stunts at the same time. So I
Right.
want to go on the because you watch the documentary. Well, they don't like being called fake,
Right. They don't
um,
like that.
and I completely agree with them. It's not fake. When they're
Yeah.
doing physical contact on each other, they're actually hurting each other, but they're
Exactly.
telling a story, and that's one thing I definitely would say. Anyone that wants to argue with me or say why you still watching this, because just like you watching a movie, like when you go pay to go see a movie, I'm watching a movie every Monday and Friday. They're telling a story.
Exactly.
So,
And
but
it's still, and I still think it's a sport. It's still a sport because wrestling is a
yeah,
sport. It may not
yeah.
be uh fabricated or predetermined, but it's still a sport. They still got to get in shape and get fit for it.
hmm So I'm like, yeah, man, this crazy series,
And
crazy
it
series. I'm trying,
and I'm kind
huh?
of glad that they steered away from a bunch of stuff too, because Vince did say like when is enough, like when is it too much? Because me and you talk about all the time like it's a good thing that they're not hitting each other over the head with a chair
Yeah.
because you can actually really hurt somebody and stuff like
hmm
that. And the guy that I was watching is actually kind of ties into what we're talking about. Um, the guy who I'm watching named just Alex.
Yeah.
Uh, he was going over like AEW's not the last pay per view they had, but the one before that. I forgot what it was called. I think it's probably the Wrestle Dream or something like that. Their version of WrestleMania. But
Yeah.
one of the wrestlers hit another wrestler over the head with a chair shot to the
Yeah.
head. And I sent you the video for it. You can hear it in that big ass stadium. You can hear that chair smack over that man's head.
Right.
And Alex was saying like AEW, the only way AEW can kind of like stay in the conversation is that they got to cross boundaries that WWE won't do it.
Yeah.
Like WWE will never let you crack somebody over the head with a chair. You'll be suspended or even fired. One of the two,
hmm
because it's considered
No
dangerous and you
fine.
can
You
lose your.
fired.
Yeah, you fired. Like you gone, big dog. So like it's like I agree with him, but then that's how like that's the only way you can stand on. That's the only leg you can stand on is that you're more violent than WWE, but that can only really get you so far because with ECW, I I didn't really grow up watching ECW like that until they became part of WWE for real for real. So like I didn't really see the purple and red era when they was like in the I don't know where were they wrestling? They were wrestling in Philadelphia. I knew that. They was like saying it was in somewhere.
They're kind of like a TNA. They only stayed in one spot, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's like they had like the structure was kind of like I don't know. The structure kind of like a hotel to me from the inside.
It was very claustrophobic in there. I still remember watching that John Cena match when John Cena went to ECW, and I'm like, wow, this. If you go to an actual wrestling competition, I went to one in Montgomery. I'm sure you went to one here. The ring is smaller than it looks.
Right,
In the area when they walk out, it's smaller than it looks. It's
right,
already claustrophobic for a big venue. Imagine how it was for ECW. It
exactly.
was, oh my god, it was just way too claustrophobic just from looking at it.
Paul did say it's like a fucking mosh pit. It really is.
Yeah,
I think it like if you were a fan of ECW, you probably be like a fan of like hardcore metal rock type stuff because it look like it get rough in the fan stand for real.
yeah,
Like, I can imagine somebody getting elbowed like for real, cause they was like this is like where the delinquents hang out at. You know what I'm saying? Like the rough, the edgy kids like go here like for real,
yeah,
cause it was it really did look claustrophobic. Like I agree with you. Like it should look like damn. I'm suffocating this bitch for real.
yeah. Yeah,
God damn.
you're just stuck looking at someone's back of the head if you're not lucky getting to the front.
Exactly.
That's about it.
And then it looked like shit. I think Hogan said it best. It's actually funny. They didn't even have Kevin Nash in the documentary, and he alive. He's fine. But Hogan was like he always looking over his shoulder. Like when the day he turned heel, which I'm gonna get into that too. The day he turned heel, he said he had to look over his shoulder because he was worried that fans would try to run in and try to do something to him. And then they like showed the clip of freaking, I think it was Kevin Nash or Razor Ramon. They was stomping that man head. And I said, damn. I said, damn. I don't know if you saw that part, did you?
Well, what part? What episode that was?
This was damn. It probably was 3, if it not 3,
Yeah,
3 going
3,
to 4.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they were stuff. Yeah.
They stomped the fuck. I said he ain't never gonna do that shit again. Cause they was stomping his fucking head. I said, damn, y'all better kill that man, ain't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Jesus.
do not jump over the fucking barricade and try to fight the wrestlers. It's not a good look. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea.
I'm happy people stopped doing that. I think
Yeah.
that in that era, because everyone was in that rebellious era, they felt like they can do anything. I think the last person that tried that was a black guy that came into the ring. He tried to do a crotch shot on Randy Orton, and
God.
Randy Orton thought it was scripted, so he fell back like he was actually injured. But looked back, it was a kid that did that, and Randy Orton was going to literally beat the hell out of that man if they didn't pull him out in time. I'm happy people stopped doing that and they realized that we're watching a story. This is not real. Calm down.
Right, or you will get your head stomped in. They do not care, bro. They protecting themselves and stuff like that. I think the last time I saw somebody do something crazy like that is I think I talked to you about it before when John Cena and Jeff Hardy was wrestling, and that was when Mr. McMahon was doing the whole money call thing or whatever. Which, by the way, was that real?
The money call?
Yeah, the money call.
Hold on, repeat the situation that happened again, so I can.
Remember when John and Jeff was about to wrestle, and the guy jumped over the barricade, and I think he was running to get the money that was at the beginning of the ramp. You know, when they walk out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to run up there and go get that, and John and Jeff was just like, "What the fuck going on?"
Yeah, that didn't supposed to happen. No, that didn't supposed to happen.
No, I was saying like, was the money thing real? Was that fake or was that actually real? Like people actually was getting money once he called them or something like that.
I think it was real. I think it was. Because especially if they're talking about giving it to the fans, I wouldn't think they would fake that out.
But I was by my phone. You know, man, I was by my phone. I said, "Oh God, please call me. Please call me. Please call me, man. Hey, man, like you never know, cause I think you had to. I forgot what the process was. I think you had to put your number in there or something like that to something, and then you know, if your number get called, your number get called, and stuff like that. I remember there was one dude he called and didn't even pick up. I said, "You bastard! You just missed a lot of money." But he probably was at work or asleep. Goddamn.
Yeah, should have been me.
Should have been me, goddamn. But I was a kid. I didn't know how to explain that to my parents. Mom, Dad,
We're rich.
We're rich. This white man on the phone. This white man on the phone said we're gonna have $1 million. He said, hang the phone up. What? What? No.
I'll pass the phone to them. Like, hey, you talk to him.
I don't know. Parents probably, you know how parents be trying to brush it off, acting all gullible and stuff like that. I don't know, Bernard. It's got to explain that to your parents back in the day. Like, there's a man just giving out money over the phone. He's on TV. He's on TV. And you're gonna be like, hang up the phone, Johnny. What?
Oh yeah, no. If they don't answer, I'm gonna bring it up to them when I get older. They're not gonna hear the end of it.
Right.
Like, hey, you remember that time you should have listened to me? Now we could have had some money, but no. You had to be gullible.
I'm gonna be the Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm gonna stunner my dad when I'm old enough.
Yeah, we could have gotten ourselves out of struggle, but no, you wanted to be gullible.
Oh God. Oh no. Yeah. I felt that anger. I didn't get a call. I didn't get a fucking call. Shoot, what else was in that damn documentary? I know another thing too. The whole what was that thing he said? He said, yeah, with the Triple H thing. I was saying that it wasn't fair that he took King of the Ring away from Triple H because he's the one who gave the okay in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on now.
Yeah. I mean, they even talked to Vince after that hug and everything that happened. And Vince, he said he was going to still find him, but kicking him out because of that, that was just excessive. That was just way too excessive. And
that was too much. Like, he didn't deserve that. What he said, I think Triple H was like, you got to learn how to eat shit and like it. I said, damn.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, the forgot what the black wrestler's name is.
Tony Atlas?
Yeah. I understand that. I guess I'll look from hindsight from our era of time, where there's a lot more opportunities. But I know that they didn't have much opportunities. They weren't getting paid as much at that time. But there's no amount of money that you can pay me to throw my integrity away and let some grown man touch me.
Oh yeah, grab him out of the crotch or something like that.
Yeah, by the crotch. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but the freaking pedo stuff that they had going on, or the rapists and all that stuff. Yeah, that shit crazy. Yeah, Geppetto. Yeah, oof, blur that out. But yeah, that doggone that is crazy. Yeah, it kind of shows. Actually, it was funny because I was like, as they was going over that little portion of the documentary or whatever, I was like, dang, this sounds just like Nickelodeon or Disney and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that shit kind of crazy, and it seems like that was a ongoing thing, even constantly, even going on right now and stuff like that. So that is crazy.
Yeah. And these big tough guys, you think are tough, but they have to suck it up sometimes to do this. And I'm like, dang, that lets you know that if someone got power, they got some wherewithal over you. It just depends on your integrity.
Yeah, because it was just like, because that kind of people kind of do that, like because that's what they were saying, like in the Nickelodeon documentary too, which I still need to finish that, by the way. But there was like the man Tony. What Tony said is kind of what the mother said in the documentary, where she was like, we didn't say nothing because we didn't want to risk the opportunity of a lifetime and stuff like that. And that's just when it goes to like you said, what's more important, you making it in the business and getting paid lots of money, or your core values and stuff like that. They chose, even if that meant either messing themselves up or messing their kid up. So it's just like, it's crazy, man. That's what people would do for Hollywood just to be famous.
And said Vince, I know they said Vince didn't agree with it, but by him completely just trying to write it off is him indirectly agreeing with what was happening.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was condoning it. If you didn't say nothing or do nothing about it, you're condoning it by automatic. You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost like me saying, shoot, a guy who's my friend calling another one of my friends a bitch, and I know that's wrong, but I'm not saying nothing about it. I'm condoning it because I'm not saying it. Or better yet, to swap that situation, a guy calling somebody, a girl, a bitch that we know, or like someone calling your sister a bitch or something like that, and me not saying that, I'm condoning it because I'm not correcting it.
Yeah.
Hey, that's wrong.
Exactly. And as I said, in one positive note with Vince saying that it doesn't matter what nationality you are, just as long as you bring money, it also brings a negativity because all he cared about was money. I know I made the jokes at the time when I was younger, like all Vince cares about is money. But looking back and at it now, I'm like, that's also a very bad thing because it said all he cared about was the business. He didn't care about the other people's well-being or who they were, and it's ultimately come to bite him on his ass. Except for I'm surprised a lot of people is in that documentary right now. From
Exactly.
Cody Rhodes, Hulk Hogan, Undertaker of all the people. And I mean, the thing is, Vince still agreed to doing this documentary. Still agreed to doing it, but still, it's surprising how there's so many people, especially when he said about his, oh yeah, well the Vince McMahon thing and the Vince McMahon thing. I just think it was persona. Everybody else was like, nah, man, no, dude, that's all you.
And
No one was on his side at that point. It's like, no, man.
that's how you like. And that's the thing too. Like these are like some well-known names because like these are kind of like all your poster boys throughout the years. Because if you got Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, shoot, I'm surprised John Cena didn't even have a word to say or whatever, you know, and Cody Rhodes as well, especially since he's the current face of WWE right now. And yeah, and I just found it very interesting because even with the Montreal screw job, when freaking Bret Hart uppercut the fuck out of him, I said, damn. I said I knew he did. I remember the spit in the face, which by the way was impressive as hell because he target bullseye, goddamn, right in the fucking eye. But gross too, by the way. But yeah, I don't know what Vince thought he was thinking when he walked into their room, thinking that Brent wasn't about to uppercut the out of him, because Brent said that it wasn't him. He didn't just automatically try to fight him. He said Vince was trying to come at him too, or whatever. And it's just like one of them, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of in the middle. Like, yeah, I feel like more you than him type of situation. But it's just like only people who was actually there know. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no. Like I think that even people warned him, like, hey, Brett's probably gonna try to knock you out.
Right.
If
You
try
sure you want to do this?
But it said his ego, I think, got to him where he thought he could just talk to this man. And it said he had every reason to be angry. He dedicated 15 years
Right.
to you, and that's what you do to him. And also, that too, it shows his lack of accountability for him too, because he knew that freaking him and Sean didn't get along.
Exactly. And I kind of do. I feel like there were some faults on Brent's part too, because they could have had a discussion where, okay, Brent could have lost the he didn't necessarily have to lose it at a pay-per-view match. They could have made it to where he lost it before they went to Calgary or whatever. Like, I get it. You don't want to lose it in your hometown and stuff like that, but you could clearly see nowadays WWE don't give about that. Like, when Sammy lost at Montreal against Roman, I mean, it happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I understood where Vince was coming from in the terms of, okay, this is title, he need to get it back before you transition over or whatever. Because he said that there's loopholes in the contracts to where you can join WCW. But I felt like they could have really communicated that or whatever and just say, hey, you could just vacate the title. You didn't even have to lose it. You could have just vacated it. You didn't even have to lose it or whatever. And it didn't even matter if it was Sean or not. And don't get me wrong, I mean, Sean said it best. It mattered with Sean. It mattered with Sean because he was. I mean, that man was on drugs. Like, and it's sad to say it. Like, our favorites were doing drugs. I had to admit it. Some of our old favorites did drugs, and it just some of them probably still doing it and stuff like that. Feel bad for Jeff. Feel bad for Jeff, but I don't feel bad for Jeff because he need to cut that shit out.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's doing it now because I think they just won the tag team championship. I think last week or this week.
Right.
So they champions now, which is good for them because they're not just wrestling just to wrestle.
Exactly. And I mean, I just hope he clean up his act as well. I agree with you on that because they gave him a chance, but Hulk Hogan also rejecting the fact of saying he was on steroids.
He was.
Also, that messed him up.
Yeah. That messed him. I don't know why he lied. I mean, I get it. He was he was the John Cena of that time and stuff like that. He was doing movies and all that. I never saw the movie that him and Vince made together. I'm glad because it sounded like it was garbage. It was ass.
Which also on Vince's end was a dick move because
Right.
he didn't want him to go to Hollywood. So I mean, it's weird how they brushed over that moment, but I'm like, wow, Vince, you really was a douchebag. You didn't even let him venture out and at least try. Even though later on in this time, he really didn't care for Hollywood. He still wanted to try, and you still try to cut off his opportunities by giving him that horrible freaking movie.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, all going back to is like, man, we sat there watching wrestling. We cheered for Vince at times. We booed for Vince at times. I'm like, dang, I'm not going to have hatred for the man, but I think I should have just stayed booing him.
Yeah.
God dang.
We like what you did in the terms of you. It's almost one of them things. Like I think Hugo talked about it one time in his podcast, the Midnight Fucks. Go check that out. But anyway, put that in the description. But yeah, it's just like one of them things of like, are we just as equally as bad because we was watching it? And I think it's one of them things of like when you didn't know as a kid, you can't really be held accountable. But as an adult, it's kind of like a technical thing too, because it's just like you're just gonna stop. At that point, you might as well just stop watching everything because everything probably had honestly a dirty beginning. Nobody's hands were clean.
Yeah.
And it's just like nowadays, I feel like they're really not an excuse now because back in the day, people values back in the day was 10 times different than how it is now because there's some shit that you could say back in the day that you can't say on the internet or on TV. But back in the day you could, and it wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's a good and a bad thing because it just seems like it's now like, are we now in a sensitive period, a sensitive time period where everybody get easily offended over everything?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, it's better than where we were though when there was no filter and people were saying crazy things on TV and on the internet. Like it was bad. It just like that's why I said like with the women back in the Attitude Era, like I think Stephanie said it best. It was just like WWE's version or WWF version, whatever, of Jerry Springer, but just wrestling or whatever.
Yeah.
So like they was pulling hair and slapping and pushing and all that stuff. That's all they was really doing. Some of them was genuinely doing wrestling moves.
Yeah, some of them really cared, and that's outside of that. I mean, they cared. They all cared. Let me change that sentence. They all cared, but some of them had to try to break the mold.
Exactly.
But most of them tried to stick with the mold because they didn't want to overstep Vince.
Exactly. I ain't gonna never forget the mud wrestling match or the panties and bras match. I'm a kid watching this, by the way. Crazy. It's on the video games too, so it was like, I was gonna see it regardless because it's on the games too. I think it's on, what was it? 2008 SmackDown 08.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like they had like this very sexual ass bed, and you can hear a diva with a. Oh, remember when they was calling them divas?
Oh my, the Divas title.
Yeah, divas. Diva sounds like a Hollywood term for like, oh, she a diva. Oh, she just stuck up pretty much.
Yeah.
Just call them WWE superstars. I'm calling them WWE women superstars. Just call them WWE superstars. Lord have mercy.
Well, it was even worse on 2010 because when the women were playing the game, they never said she. They always said he. If you played the game,
Wow.
you had the women go against each other. They're saying he, not she.
Oh God. They definitely
like,
came a long way.
I'm like,
Oh Lord, I would never ever see a panties and bra match on today's wrestling.
Scratch that.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Oh, scratch that. You'll never see a barbed wire match.
Oh no,
You'll never see that again. Never.
Ring on Fire match. Never see that shit again. I I rarely see people which I kind of wanted to talk about the Owen Hart thing, and
Go ahead.
I felt like Brent was kind of tripping a little bit. I think he was paranoid because he thought that um Vince will literally go to the point where he will kill somebody. I think that was kind of like, I mean, I get where you're coming from, like you think below, beneath him or whatever, but I don't think he would necessarily go that far, like
Yeah.
necessarily. Like I get what you're coming from, but it really was a terrible accident. I watched the Dark Side of the Ring version, and they really think that Owen's wife, well, I think her name is Linda or something like
Yeah.
that. She generally think that it was WWE's fault because, this was underneath their watch.
And this was after the screw job, right? Or before the screw job?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this was
this is
after.
after the screw. Oh, yeah.
Because Owen stayed, and there was animosity between him and Brent. This was what Brent was saying, and he was like saying because he stayed, um, he thought Brent was like upset at him or something like that. But they was kind of like, with his character, they kind of was bullshitting him. I ain't gonna lie, because when you see like some of the matches that he did or what he was doing, it was just felt
Yeah.
like they didn't have nothing for him. They at that point, because like when you watch the Dark Side of the Ring version, it really does connect the dots that the documentary is missing, because Owen
Yeah.
only stayed because he wanted to provide for his family because he was getting paid more there than
Yeah.
WCW. But Brent went to WCW because he thought that they was getting paid over there, but they had a difference of opinion and stuff like that. And it was just one of them things, man. Like it was unfortunate because how people talk about him, they say that he was really good at wrestling. He was honestly, if not better than Brent, equally good and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it was just like I kind of seen wrestlers like him, even to this day. Like, oh, he's really good at wrestling, but they don't got nothing for him. It's kind of like he kind of like it, the Daniel Bryan back, if there was like a Daniel Bryan back in the day, because there was a time period where Daniel Bryan was stagnant. Like he went from the Yes movement to like where he was just like Daniel Bryan just wrestle. He wrestled like he kind of like the hype for him has died. And I think Owens should have probably went to WCW because I feel like he would have probably had more freedom. That's why I say like some wrestlers who don't find success in WWE can find it elsewhere and then just come back with that new hype and try to
Yeah.
negotiate a new contract and stuff like that, because look at
Cody's
CM
proved
Punk.
that.
Yep, Cody, CM Punk. Who else? I mean, it's like another person, but yeah, like those guys are like the example and stuff like that. So that's why it's unfortunate because most wrestlers didn't get that opportunity back in the day because they
Oh,
didn't feel
yeah.
like they can get it anywhere else.
And I take back what I said about what John said. I know we talked about it. What John said. There's only been one receipt in wrestling history. No, there's been two. There's Daniel Bryan and uh, Cody Rhodes. There's only been
Yeah,
two receipts
yeah,
in history. And unfortunately, Owen was not in that receipt, sadly.
exactly. So it's just like it sucks, and that was tragic. Like, and most people were like, and that kind of goes into like that. I would probably ask you this question, Bernard. Like, do you feel like what Vince did for that night when Owen died to keep the show going, or he should have canceled it?
I think he should have canceled
Yeah,
because that's an actual casualty right there. And people are mourning over it. It's just like the Travis Scott thing. Like, why would you keep the concert going when you clearly there's people that's died?
right. Because it's almost kind of like damn, I know that we like talked about this on Once Upon a Time, like the soul sucking thing. You know how like some people like desecrate
Yeah,
a grave by getting intimate and all that. I feel like it's kind of like that to a certain degree. It's like
yeah,
living bodies are wrestling over where a dead body died at. It's almost like you desecrated
yeah.
the
You
ring or
treated.
something like that.
You're basically saying Owen was a number. He wasn't a person. He was a number.
Right.
Okay, that machine died. All right, move that machine We'll worry about its repairs or getting rid of it after the show's over.
Right.
You know.
Because that's just it is kind of like a sickening feeling in the stomach because it's just like, damn. I know you said in the documentary that if people saw it, y'all would have canceled the show right then and there. But then when people didn't see it, it's kind of just like, how can wrestlers wrestle over where someone had died at? And the thing about it, his blood was still there. It was still there.
And you seen this on, before we continue on, you seen that on the Dark Side of the Ring portion, right?
No, this on the documentary. When they
Oh,
will
okay.
show clips of like the wrestlers wrestling and his blood was on the side of the mat.
Mm.
Some of them was like looking at, like you can see some of them was looking at it and like had this like what's the word, torn look on their face. Like I gotta do my job, but this kind of fucked up. For
Yeah.
real. And it's just like one of the things of like, I get it from like a business standpoint, the show got to go on, but from a human standpoint, it's just like, this kind of messed up, bro.
It goes back to your integrity.
Right.
It goes back to your integrity. Because I know if I was there, I wouldn't be wrestling.
Yeah.
I would have probably quit right then and there and just had to go back to flipping burgers, metaphorically, because there's no way. And I say flipping burgers because they didn't have no other opportunities like they have now back then. So if you weren't, and also add too, you weren't on a contract, which I found out, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, they weren't on the
Any
contract.
goals or dreams of becoming a wrestler back then would have been squashed. Like I would have definitely had listened to my mother then and saying, I don't think that's going to work because how on earth am I going to be able to survive every day?
Yeah, you know, contract, you're getting hand fed the money. I mean, I think that's kind of like how most jobs was back in the day. I think there was just giving them money, and you show up, you get money, and stuff like that. Nowadays, you signing stuff, and you kind of like have contracts and stuff like that. Even for like 9 to 5s, you still signing something. You working because this is like the company is liable to pay you if you follow these rules, and you can't follow these rules, we can fire you.
Yeah.
Now it was just word to mouth back then. Like, you give me your word that you show up to wrestle this night, you get paid. So they ain't had no loyalty. Probably in the Attitude Era, I think that's when they had the contracts, but before that, they probably didn't. That's why they was able to switch over to WWF quickly without it just being like a whole, oh, we gotta wait till this person can. I mean, it's just like that now. Like, some people are under contract under other wrestling federations or whatever you want to call it. That's why they don't show up until a certain period of time, until the contract falls through and everything's signed, sealed, and approved.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but that shit was crazy. It's just one of the things of like, what's more important to you? Like, providing for your family or providing for yourself? Like, everybody had like different reasons of why they were there and what they need to get paid for. So that's why it's just like, you can't really fault them either. It's just, again, it's just a bad all around.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that sucked. I am interested to see where the rest of this documentary goes and stuff like that. But
because I didn't even know there was an affair between Sonny and Bret Hart. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. It was because I didn't skim past. I looked down when they was talking about the description about what was happening.
he said that Shawn was trying to say that he was sleeping with that woman, but he wasn't, and that's what Brent said. So no telling if it's true or not. But Shawn was probably just trying to start something or whatever. We can look it up after the podcast to see if that was true. But that's what it was saying. Like, you trying to mess up my marriage, and I have like a whole family, dude.
Yeah. And Shawn said himself he would do it. And I said we thought that Shawn was one of the most badass people walking the planet. But he said himself, which I probably would have been up in arms with him too. If he said what he said he'll do whatever it takes to win or take favor of Vince McMahon. I'm like, see that right there, that would have been a problem with me because start bringing family stuff in there and it's not scripted. That's the problem.
Yeah, because he said the reason why he did that was because Vince was looking out for him even at his worst time. I guess he kind of considered Vince as a father to him in the sense too, because when Shawn was on drugs and stuff like that, he still gave Shawn opportunities. He got him out of situations and stuff like that. It's just that it's that loyalty that mask. It's almost like wearing rose-colored glasses. Like you won't see the bad because you got the glasses on and stuff like that. That's why I say like you can say whatever you want about Vince, but he really did create stars. He created John. He created Shawn. He created Triple H. He created The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Rock. He has created a lot of big names and stuff like that. So, and that's going back to the AEW thing. That's what their problem is. They are doing. They're not creating new stars, and also there are. It's almost like Tony Khan really is doing the old school McMahon. Like, I'm taking some of your talent. No, he's taking the WCW route like with Eric. I already got your established talents from your show. I'm gonna run with that, and then that's it. He's not creating new stars that he already have. So that's just it really is a whole
circle.
Yeah.
And I wish Khan would take notes and realize that John Bradshaw, I almost said John Bradshaw later. Eric Bischoff actually stopped when he realized things were going downhill. He stopped and actually said, "You know what? I admit I lost, and I admit where I messed up." I wish he looked at that formula and said, "Okay, no more hiring same people that came from WWE. As you said, let's push the people that are already in here, because that's what John did. That's what Vince McMahon did. I mean, heck, Edge wouldn't be Edge if it wasn't for the fact that Vince McMahon had hope in Edge to grow to what he was.
Exactly.
Same thing for all the other stars. They started off as nothing. Vince McMahon, Shawn Michaels started off as any other wrestler.
Right.
So you have
Heartbreak Kid yet.
Wrestlers, and that's a mistake that the WWE was making as well when they started bringing in older people like Goldberg and stuff like that. No hate to Goldberg. It started getting to a point where people like Seth Rollins just looked like a created character that was just left on the side.
Exactly.
Like Brock Lesnar had all the titles. He was taking the titles like nothing and holding it. And at that point, I was getting annoyed with WWE. I was like, man, I'm getting tired of this. I agree that Shawn, Triple H, they all built this, but you guys are making me not care about the new talent.
Exactly.
I don't, and now I can say I do care about Seth Rollins. He's not just like a Shawn Michaels ripoff in my head.
He's his own character.
Yeah, Roman Reigns. But you want to say that's Joe that he's acting as, or Roman himself? I can say Roman is Roman.
Exactly.
But back then, it wasn't just AEW. It was WWE too. But now WWE, they fixed their act up, and that's why I said that's another parallel I like to call out on. When WWE realizes they're losing, well, we could say just WWE now in general, because Triple H is running it and Vince isn't there. Yeah. But Vince and Triple H did the same thing. They amped it up to 11, and they exploited their competition immediately.
Exactly. Because now NXT is getting better. Like, it was already good, but now it's getting better. It's one thing if it starts off good, now it's starting to be great, and that's the rookie show.
Yeah, and you know what? You said the same thing they said on the documentary. They said WWE started getting good. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. It's like, well, that's why they're the juggernaut right now.
Right. They had a dark start off, and now they're doing better, and it's still going good. That's how you know that's how it's just one of them things, like, just speaking to all future entrepreneurs and stuff like that. it's one thing starting the company up and being hot, but it's another thing when you 10, 20 years down the road and you're getting better. You're not even just good, you're getting better even as the years go on and stuff like that. That's growth. That's growth. It isn't because most people will think like, oh, if I got the company, I'm doing good, or oh, the company hasn't gone down yet, or anything like that. That's good. Like, no, it isn't about just getting the company and started, nor is it about keeping the company going. It's about keeping the company going and getting better and better and better. That's what's important.
Feeling like I'm Gal, giving sonic boom guillotines. Having no guilt, grilling rappers when I hit the scene. My spirit bombing like I'm Goku in the flesh. I fuck the world again while she in a mess dress. Flexing with my magic while I'm with the record crew. These rappers disappear, bibbidi bobbidi boo. Welcome flows aboard to the Alabama Zoo, where them crimson back gorillas turn you to banana stew.